So I have a hidden disability. I don't always see it, but it's always there. I've got dyslexia and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I didn't know this when I was a child. I went to school and just thought I hated school and was a bit thick. But when I started my OU degree at 23, suddenly it all became clear. It was my first real venture into proper classroom learning since I'd left school, and I was really nervous. And the teacher pulled me aside at the end of the first session and said, "Do you have dyslexia? Because it's okay if you do, there's loads of stuff we can do to help." Well, I'd never really thought about it before. She gave me all the information I needed to get an assessment, and I decided to get a private assessment, which my granddad helped me pay for. When I went to see the educational psychologist, she did reveal that I had mild dyslexia, but also that I scored really high for attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And this was like a bolt from the blue. I had no idea what that was or had ever considered that I might have it. But the more I learnt about it, the more it made sense. After really struggling with school, I felt like I didn't like learning or know how to do it. But once I got my diagnosis, I realised that everything could be so much easier and so much clearer once I understood how I learn. The dyslexia wasn't a surprise really to me or anybody else. I managed to find lots of information, and the Open University were actually brilliant in giving me tools and advice that have really helped open up a world of learning to me. I was given computer software and teachers understood what I meant as soon as I said it. I felt validated and like I wasn't just the thick kid in class anymore. I went to school in the 90s and things were slightly different then. So being able to achieve a honours degree and then a master's degree and now working on an MBA has opened up a whole world of career opportunities for me. I was really successful in obtaining the post as Chief Exec Officer for Healthwatch Essex back in 2020. This was a huge role for me and one that I absolutely love. And none of that would have been possible if I hadn't have got the diagnosis, which enabled me to open up a world of learning. And I now love learning. I'm a lifelong learner. I've been doing it for the past 15 to 20 years, and I've got no intention of stopping now. So I actually think my ADHD is a bit like my superpower. So it enables me to have empathy and understanding of others, but it also gives me an energy and a drive that has made up for the dyslexia and how much that has slowed me down. So I've been able to study and work full time, which has enabled me to get to where I am at the age I am. I was a 35-year-old female CEO. I'd never been in that sort of managerial position before, but I kind of knew I could do it. And therefore I just had to prove to everybody else in the world I could do it. So I spent a lot of time being a swan, trying to look calm on top, and my legs were going 10 to the dozen underneath. And I overdid it and I burnt myself out, if I'm honest. But along that way, I made lots of mistakes, and I tried to create a culture in that environment where that was okay. Actually make a mistake, and let's sit down, talk about the mistake you made and learn from it. For years, I masked my disability. I didn't want anyone to know. I was a little bit ashamed of it. So I did all I could do at home to cover up what I felt were my inadequacies. Last year at work, I got involved in a project where I told my own story, and it was the first time I'd actually opened up about myself. So I told my story. I had more and more people come to me and say that they had had similar experiences or they felt the same way. And actually I realised that by making myself vulnerable, I was making other people have more opportunity to talk, and that they saw that that was okay. And I've been able to help more people because they've been more honest with me about their own stories. And also making myself vulnerable, the world didn't fall apart. I didn't really get that judged. People didn't take the mickey. They wanted to understand. They wanted help themselves as well sometimes. So I think because I have felt like I've struggled to fit in, especially in education, I have real empathy for other people that don't necessarily fit in or don't feel they fit into society. And actually trying to enable and empower them to say that's okay, you don't have to fit in, you know, take your own path, live your own life, be your own voice. And that's kind of really fitted into what I do for a living now. Sort of I run an organisation that is all about enabling people's voices to be heard, and I employ a really diverse mix of people, and I get to work with an incredibly diverse mix of volunteers, and all of them are unique and all have a story to tell. And I think my ADHD has enabled me to kind of look through the initial hard shell that they present and see what is hiding underneath, and in some cases provide that sort of structure or safe space for them to be the best they can be. If I'm at home reading or I'm taking notes that I know only I'm going to read, I can do it quite quickly. If I'm in a classroom and somebody asks me to write something on a board, or if I have to read something aloud in front of an audience, I can't read anything. The words start to spin in a circle. I can't remember how to spell my own name. It's the same with the ADHD. I know that I can get really hyper when I'm anxious, to the point where I'll get visual tics. The best thing for me to do is to go outside, is to plan what I'm going to do so I can control my anxiety before I'm in that situation, and to just get some open space. Having ADHD means I sometimes take in too much information in one go and can get quite overwhelmed. So I come to my quiet places and I have a little bit of time to let my brain calm down, and then I put a structure in place to go back and start looking at things again. It hasn't stopped me yet. In some ways it's my superpower, and hopefully other people can start looking at it as that as well.